Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to TraderMerlin. It is your Monday edition, and as we talked about last week, there was a poll that was put up. Not really a poll, but I asked you guys, I said I'm going to do a designated crypto show because a couple of you have been asking for it. Eric in particular, who I think he's here today. There he is. I've been asking for a bunch of different specific crypto topics. So I said I'm going to try to put all those into one show. My guess is going to run right into 1 hour, maybe a little bit more here because I have just so much to talk about today. It's a pretty broad topic, and I know some people here are just disgusted with it, don't want to hear it, think it's a scam. Others of you see some potential, some opportunity. Others are just outright obsessed with it. So let's start off kind of the basics of today. I'm going to talk cryptocurrency, digital assets. I'm going to go through kind of the who, what, where, why, and when of crypto just to set the stage for everybody. And then feel free along the way to ask questions. If things that I say are not clear, then just type it in the chat and I will get to them. And hopefully we can keep this as a kind of a nice flow to it as opposed to going too off topic. So here is what I saw the comment there. Yeah, Lisa's right. What a topic since Bitcoin is down 6.65% right now. I've been of the opinion that Bitcoin is going to sell off anyway for another month or so. I still think we've got downside here. I said lower to sideways for the next couple months, and we'll see what happens. Most likely, I think we'll start to see it run in September and start September and October. So I made this graphic. Thank you, ChatGPT, or not ChatGPT. This is from Midjourney. It said, give me a little circuit board with some question marks on it. So there you go. And we're going to talk cryptocurrency, digital assets. I have some icons on here, but I'm not necessarily going to talk about Ripple unless you guys want to, or Monero, Cardano, Solana, whatever. So let me start with this first piece. Why? Why crypto, right? Why can't we just be happy with the system that we have? We've got banks, we have insurance companies, we've got identity, DMV. We have all these businesses and everything seems to function normally. The reason why we have cryptocurrency is several-fold, but I'll run through kind of bullet points that I created here literally 2 minutes ago. Believe me. Number one is we're upgrading the financial system. And I've used several different analogies for this one, but I'm going to go back to music. And I think I've done this one for you guys as well, but I have two analogies I like to use. One is the car industry, the other one is music. And I haven't built out the visuals for the music one yet. But if you go back to the 1800s, let's say 1820, and you want to listen to some music, you had to go to a concert hall or play the instrument yourself. There was no way for you to have it at home. In late 1800s, they actually came out with the phonograph type device, right? This wax pressing, you put music into it. They had scrolls as well, but they finally found a way to take music, put it on something else, and now make that music portable. That's the 60s, I believe, is when that happened. And over the last, 140 plus years, we've gone from that no music to a wax pressing and other things to vinyl. You had reel-to-reel cassette recorders. You had cassette tapes, which were my generation. You had 8-track tapes too, which are a little bit before cassette tapes. Then we went to CDs. You guys remember the jump in jubilation when we went from a cassette to a CD? I could fit tons of music on this little device. I could now copy that music almost instantly and send it anywhere I wanted. That was great. We went to the CDs, and then it went to MP3 players. Did we really need it? No. But it was an advancement on the distribution of music and the listening of music around the world. Now, no one here, unless you're a collector like myself, doesn't own vinyl. You probably, I remember my Walkman. I had a Walkman that had a pitch knob on it, so I used to listen. I remember listening to Eye of the Tiger, and I would, and I would just play with it. Walkman, man. Walkman led the world in that, and they missed the boat. Anyway, that evolution wasn't necessarily, we didn't need to have it, but it made it for a better music system. And now we look at it today, how many of you have cassettes and vinyl and CDs that you listen to regularly? Probably not too many. They don't even make cars with CD players or cassette players anymore because it's all streaming media. Did we need that? Not necessarily, but it did make it more efficient, less for us to carry around. No taking the pencil with your cassette tapes and spinning around like this, guys, right? to rewind them. That's the easy example. So with finance, we've been using this archaic set of rules for a long time, right? Built in the 50s. You look at the Federal Reserve, go back to 1913, that's when a lot of these rules were started back then. And they've been run by a good old boy network. The banks have been run by the Federal Reserve, which has been in place for well over 100 years. And they create this crony little network of financial firms that take all these customer deposits and make a bunch of money with it. These banks are getting rich off of customers like you and me. Can we upgrade that system? Well, sure. If you look at the upgrading of the music industry, what happened to that industry? All the people that were making cassettes, the manufacturers of cassettes, are now out of business, right? The Maxell, XL290s. I used to trade fish shows all the time, and the Maxell XL290 was the tape to have. No one's using tapes anymore. Maxell, gone, disappeared, right? It's kind of like the photography industry. Yes, you have purists who are out there using 35 millimeter film and have a darkroom set up in their house. But you remember how easy it was to go down to your local grocery store or a photomat and get your pictures developed? No one does that anymore. It's a scarcity. Try finding a photo development place. There's probably only a couple in town, whereas they used to be on every corner. Did we need it? No. Did it make it more efficient? Yes. We've upgraded these systems. All right. So number one with crypto is it's an upgrade to the financial system, right? We're upgrading not only the way that the information is recorded, we're also upgrading how money is sent back and forth. We're upgrading settlement periods, which means no longer does it take 3 days or a couple of weeks to settle a transaction. It will be instant. We also upgrading the transparency of these systems. And again, who is going to lose out here? It will be the banks. The banks, initially, if we keep it at face value, cryptocurrencies are good for banks. It's just faster and more efficient for them. But the next piece here we'll talk about is when we get to decentralization and how that puts the benefits in your favor and in mine. So number one is upgrading that financial system. Number two is the failure of the banks. Okay, so why do I put failure of the banks? The genesis of cryptocurrency happened long before Bitcoin's white paper in 2008, right? In 2008, someone named Satoshi Nakamoto, might be a man, might be a woman, might be a non-binary individual, who knows, could be a corporation. We have no idea who Satoshi Nakamoto is, but they created the idea for Bitcoin. And that idea was built off of dozens of other technologies that these called cypherpunks, these kind of crypto nerds were building back in the day. They were toying around with digital monetary systems. In 2009, what we had was Wachovia and Washington Mutual go under. They went bankrupt because there was a run in their banks. They were overextended, and when the financial crisis happened, they shut down. There were banks across the United States that were telling customers, you can't access your account, or your money is frozen, or you can't have your money because it's over the FDIC insurance, and you lost all that. That's a failure of the banking system. So that is really what caused the catalyst for Bitcoin to move mainstream. And it started in 2009 was when it officially started operating. It's designed to replace the banks. So anybody asks what Bitcoin is, it's designed to replace the banks and let you become your own bank. Another why here is remove centralized control. All of us are subject to centralized power pressure, meaning if you go to Amazon and you do something wrong or says something they don't like, or you get reported on Twitter or Instagram or whatever for posting a picture that someone doesn't like or finds offensive, boom, they hit a button and they can censor you. They can prevent you from accessing all of those great features at Amazon or Twitter or Instagram, whatever it may be. Also, things like the Department of Motor Vehicles, totally centralized. They have the absolute power there. Let's not get me started on my hatred of the Department of Motor Vehicles here in California. But when we remove centralized control, you take away that one entity's power. And because these entities are centralized, most of the businesses in the world today are centralized, that gives them power to manipulate not only all the data and information of their company and customers, but also to influence and pressure other people out of the industry. So centralized control gives them the power. And that's why we have publicly traded companies that have multi-trillion-dollar valuations. They're centralized. They're controlling every aspect of it, preventing competition or maybe taking over competition, etc. When we remove centralized control and give power to the people, if you will, a decentralized marketplace, prices become more efficient, networks become more stable, and they become more secure because you have more people watching all the data as opposed to one centralized entity. Okay, I'm going long-winded on the why. So that's my why portion of it. Who did it? Well, I put here the cypherpunks. I call them CryptoPunks, cypherpunks. These are just techies that back in the day were looking at ways to change the financial system. Okay, can we go to a digital monetary system? The answer was obviously yes, but how do we do that? Well, a lot of these guys were programmers, right? So they came up with ways to send money back and forth digitally. But as we learned with, what was that site called? Napster. You guys might remember Napster. Napster, I could upload, let's say I purchased the new Fish album, right? I'm a big fan. I upload that album because I want to have a digital place for me to reference it. Because I put it on Napster, instantly that can be copied by anybody in the world, right? I downloaded way too much to admit from Napster back in the day. That is theft. That's stealing from the original artist, right? What you ended up having with Napster was a digital copy of something, but it was an infinite copy. With money, you can't have that. You can want to make a copy, but you can't have infinite copies of it. I can't take my $100 bill and just copy it to an infinity. That's fraud, right? That's counterfeit money. I can't do that. Because it's music, it's one thing. When you're dealing with money, that's a very different topic. So these CryptoPunks and programmers were working on a way to prevent things called double spend. Double spend is where I could use my Bitcoin on one network or my cryptocurrency on one network and buy something, and then go on another network and buy it over there too, because the networks didn't talk to each other. They didn't know that I'd already spent it. So there are a lot of logistic pieces and code pieces to fix here to have a system that prevented counterfeiting, prevented fake cryptocurrencies, etc. And Bitcoin represents the genesis of all that. When all these ideas came together from these previous programmers and cypherpunks, and Bitcoin was created. That was really the genesis of it. Now, one thing to keep in mind, while you look at this list here and you go, okay, the cypherpunks, generally good people, programmers, developers, looking for a better future. This industry is full of more scammers than the stock market around the world combined. And it's because it's so unknown and so many people think you're going to get rich quick from jumping into crypto. Scammers are everywhere. I'm sure some of you guys have already seen it. People are copying. I'm a nobody in the grand scheme of things. I'm a mosquito in the financial markets. But even with my little following, my little group, scammers try to copy me on a monthly basis, right? I've got scammers duplicating my ID on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. There was a YouTube one trying to copy me. I've tried to block all of them. Again, I will never reach out to you directly trying to solicit or sell anything to you guys. But scammers are going to create cryptocurrencies all the time and try to steal. So it goes down to research and understanding what you're buying and why you're buying it. So where? Well, the thing about crypto is this is a global phenomenon. There is no centralized location for any of these cryptocurrencies. If you look at Bitcoin, Litecoin, Cardano, Algorand, Solana, they're decentralized. They're all over the world. Let me give you an example of it real quick. I should have had this one prepared for you earlier, but hey, let's just do it now. You can go and pull up the Bitcoin node map. Well, it used to be here. Now, all of a sudden, it's... Bitcoin node map is what I wanted to type in. One sec. There we go. All right, so let's go to reachable Bitcoin nodes, and this will show you, hopefully it's there. This is the Bitcoin, just the Bitcoin nodes around the world. So you may have heard somebody say, hey, they could shut down, the U.S. markets and Bitcoin dies. Jamie Dimon, as dumb as he is, saying, or as intelligent as he is, saying something so stupid like, well, we'll just shut down Bitcoin. You can't. You could make it a lifetime federal penitentiary prison sentence for possession of Bitcoin in the United States, and you would still have all these networks. All these dots represent mining equipment and people running Bitcoin mining nodes, or just a node, which is keeping a copy of all the data. There's tens of thousands. There's 18,854 computers around the world right now that have just the node on it with a copy of the database. Didn't they just make a Hawk Tui coin? Isn't that one just sweeping the world right now, Hawk Tui? Sure. And you know what? I'll bet you this Hawk Tui coin right now is worth at least $50 million. Let's go to... So if anybody hasn't seen it, the Hawk Tui girl, she's become famous. Let's go. What's H-A-W-K? H-A-W-K. Hawk Tui. There it is. It's number 2,600 on the list. It has a market cap right now of $3.79 million for the Hawk Tui coin. It's not even a month old. It just started a couple days ago. Started on June 20th. Look at that thing. Shot up from 0.4 of a penny up to 40 cents or 4 cents. Yeah, so they did. And again, I mentioned this before. This is going to serve no purpose, right? This is just scammers trying to make a quick buck, and look at it. They did. So crypto has no centralized hub. It's diversified around the world, which is one of the main attractions for me. Other important pieces, it's a global resource. When you look at, why is she famous? The things that she said, I'll let you look it up. She was asked a question on a TikTok channel about, how do we say it? Things I can't discuss here. Oh, wow, that was an interesting picture. Look at that. I haven't played with this one before. Let's get out of there. She was asked a question about when she's intimate with somebody else, what's something that she does, and it's hilarious. It actually is really funny. And now there's memes. There's so many other external videos based off this Hak Tui thing she says, but I'll leave you to that to look up that one. When you look at what vaulted the internet into the stratospheres of adoption, what was it? It was a global resource. It was something that allowed everybody in the world to connect and share information, share resources, get education, right? It really was a universal tool to help people access information. Well, I would argue that cryptocurrency and digital assets is a universal tool that helps everybody have access to financial markets, not just a stock exchange or a bank, but insurance protocols, renting insurance, you name all the different things to do with money, cryptocurrency allows you to access that. So I call it a global resource. That's why under the where. Now when? Ongoing for 15 years. So it's been going on really for 15 years since Bitcoin started. That's when this has been initiated and really the ball started rolling. What else do I have? Do I have anything else on here? As far as when, this is the big question I get from a lot of people is, well, when's it going to really, soar? When's the next big? I don't know. I mean, who knows when this is going to go to the stratosphere or if it will. The big key here is regulation is a big part of it. And I've been making this point in all the crypto courses I've taught for many different companies now is we have this spectrum of regulation coming. And it's either going to be total hands-off, laissez-faire, do what you want. Or the other extreme would be absolute lockdown, prison sentence for anybody even looking at cryptocurrency. And neither one of those two is going to happen. It will be hopefully somewhere in the middle, a little bit more towards the laissez-faire, but we have to get these scammers out. We have to prevent the Hak Tui coin from being created instantly in 7 minutes. I could have, this would have been a great opportunity. I could have done this one instantly. The second I heard about this and saw it was going viral, create the Hak Tui coin, create a liquidity pool with like $10,000 or $20,000, and I would be a multimillionaire right now. Easy to do, so easy to do. But again, it's a scam. There's nothing to it. It's an absolute scam. Thomasina, sorry for that. It's pretty funny, actually. But now there's country music songs using the Hak Tui thing. If you really want to laugh, Thomasina, look up Hak Tui country music song. There's like 4 of them. Oh my gosh, I was laughing out loud. They're just so hilarious. Anyway, so that is the basics of crypto and why, the who, what, where, why, and when. What we're seeing in this upgrade of the financial system is it started as just a monetary system. Bitcoin was only to send money back and forth. Then it went to Ethereum, which allowed programmability. So now I could write businesses on top of Ethereum's blockchain, but it was slow. Right? I only did 15 transactions per second. Then it went to things like Solana or EOS or Polkadot, Avalanche, that have 10, 15, 20,000 transactions per second, and we're consistently building on previous generations. So in that music example I started with, we start off with this wax reel that you could play at home with some music on it, to streaming music now. That's where we're at with crypto. Is we started with Bitcoin, okay, it's payment network. And then we got better, we could program it. Now it's getting faster, and every rendition is making it better, faster, more efficient, more transparent. And as that goes on, more businesses will look at the technology of blockchain or Hashgraph, whichever technology they use, and say, we're going to use that because it improves our business. It's almost like using AI from a financial perspective. It now allows me to step up my business, not prowess, I was going to say prowess, but my business operations to be much faster, more transparent, and more utilized by people around the world because I plug into this entire system. Coinbase should restrict what can be traded. They do, Margaret, they do. So if you go here to Hak Tui, this is not traded on Coinbase. You can go here to markets. This is only going to be on a decentralized swap. So this is on the Solana blockchain. You can see Radium. So Meteora and Radium are the only 2 there. Seriously, if you want to make some money right now, you could create this instantly. Go create a Hak Tui coin and put it on Ethereum or Binance's network. Solana's a lot cheaper, so more people want to buy that, build them on top of Solana. But you could easily create this on Ethereum because it doesn't look like there's one on Ethereum quite yet. Okay, so that's the who, what, where, why, when. Let me see questions. I never understood why my Toyota had a CD player in the car, yet it never worked. That's the only thing in your Toyota that didn't work. Anybody else got questions so far? AI makes crypto even more attractive. It does, because what we're going to get in the future, guys, I want you to think about, you have to be open-minded and think about changes to the way that we do things today. Let me ask you this. When I use my credit card, I essentially am getting free money for 30 days, right? I'm using that money for 30 days, and the bank or the credit card company is actually losing out there because they're giving me that money and they're not earning any interest on it. Their hope is that I don't make my payments and I carry a balance and I pay 29% interest on it. That's their hope. Unfortunately, I am the demon when it comes to credit cards. I will never carry another balance ever since I was like 18. So they lose money off of me. Think about your water company, your electric company, your phone company. Well, not maybe your phone, but let's just electric and water. So you are using electric and water all the time. I'm running, my meter right now is probably spinning because I got multiple cameras going on here. I should have my AC, but there is no AC up here. In the future, there's this thing called micropayments, which people are toying with the idea of this, which is when you turn on your light switch, boop, and just let's say you peep into the room just to see if anyone's in there. You turn it on, click, click, no, okay, and you turn it off. You've used a tiny little piece of electricity. That might be 1/10 of a penny, 0.001 cents. In the future, there's talk about going to micropayments. Micropayments meaning sub 1 penny. And now it would be where the electrical company charge you. The second you use that switch, boom, it'll charge you for that usage. So right now, I'm paying. And you would see money just consistently being taken out for every nanowatt it is of power I use. They'll charge me on demand. Because think about it. The electrical companies let me use this power for 30 days and I haven't paid them. It's kind of like me using the credit card company, right? I'm kind of taking advantage of them and they'll probably try to remove that advantage, get paid right away using micropayments. And these micropayments will be built into our appliances as well. So I used this analogy before. Big Ed was talking about AI. You could take a step down and just go to smart devices. What about a refrigerator that tells you when you're running low on eggs or milk or bread or whatever? You come home and there's an Instagram order or Instacart order at your front door and you're like, I didn't order anything. And you open it up, it's eggs and bread and milk and you're like, I didn't order this. You go to your fridge and you realize you're out of bread, eggs, and milk because your fridge ordered it for you and paid for it with micropayments on demand. So this is something that is not here yet, but it is a very interesting thought about the future of the financial markets and the way that all of our devices will be connected, not only through Wi-Fi to communicate, but also have a payment system set up, and that may be using these decentralized networks, okay? Sounds like a pay-as-you-go rank. Yep, exactly, Liz. That's really kind of what I think will start. I think that's going to change in the next few years, is these companies will have access to blockchains of instant settlement and can kind of keep going really, really fast. Because now they're old infrastructure, right? It takes them too much time to calculate everything out and send out the bills. Pretty soon, we'll just log in and it will automatically be coming out as we use on-demand electricity, on-demand water, on-demand AC, you name it, all those things. So it's not there yet, but again, it's one of those things we have to think outside the box. I can't use my microwave because I cannot afford the micropayment. Hey, you know what? It might be that way, right? Oh, shoot, I don't have any money in the bank. I can't eat today. My fridge is going to get warm. Sounds like a reason to leave the grid. It certainly would be that's a great point, VB Matt says. Sounds like a good reason to leave the grid. Well, you have to leave the grid, then you have to dig your own well. If you're that kind of conspiracy theorist, I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing, right? I'm not sure that I would look at this and say that's a bad idea to have these micropayments. It's just a change in the way we're doing things that would benefit the companies. Here's your commercial. I see a little countdown timer over there. Like Tesla, if you want AC. Correct. Yeah, you would set up your Tesla wall charging units, etc. So it's interesting. Bill made a comment the other day I thought was very interesting where he said, it's a greater fool theory. Bitcoin's a greater fool theory. And it's about those who believe in it, pump it and push it up, and those who disbelieve it, push it down. And that's essentially how Bitcoin functions. And to some extent, he's right with the vast majority of cryptocurrencies. We are not seeing utilization of Bitcoin like I think a lot of people would like to have, but it's also the CD wasn't mass adopted the first couple years it was out either. It took people like, wait, I need to buy a CD player. I don't want to buy that. I got cassettes, and then you kind of fell into it. We're like, okay, this is cool. It works. So hopefully down the road, we'll start to see more adoption and utilization of cryptocurrency and digital assets as payment networks. But it's not there. Primary reason is regulation. As soon as we see the framework put in that allows for cryptocurrency digital assets to survive and be in our ecosystem and in the United States, then they'll start to utilize them. If you look at the way that cannabis companies work, right? So let's say I open up a cannabis shop and I'm selling down here in Costa Mesa and I sell weed. It's my job. It's what I do. These guys can't have traditional bank accounts. They can't take their weed money, put it into the bank and store it there. The bank can't accept that money as a deposit because it's coming from an illegal source on the federal level. Because cannabis is federally legal, the banks are run by and controlled by the Federal Reserve Bank, which of course is beholden to the government. So you can't take your cannabis earnings, deposit in your bank without creating major red flags and maybe getting confiscated. It'll change significantly if the Fed says, we'll now approve that federally. We'll legalize cannabis federally. And then all of a sudden, you would see an influx of capital come pouring into these banks. It'd be much safer and better because a lot of these guys are holding cash and that makes them a target. Anyway, Big Ev says, it would reduce the interest on lines of credit as well. Yes, if you're doing payment like that, I think you would see the rates drop. But that opens up a whole nother can of worms there, Big Eb, which is we may not need to go to a bank anymore. So if we talked about the why of cryptocurrency, if I take my $100,000, I'll take $10,000, make it easy. I take $10,000, I put it in my Chase bank, and I earn their current market rate for interest for a year, I make $10. $10. So it's 0.01%. Not 1%, but 0.1%. The bank takes that money and lends it out for, someone's 30-year fixed rate mortgage at 7% or a car loan at 8%. That difference is just pure profit for them. We're starting to see lending protocols established today. They're currently there. You can use Aave, you can use Curve. There's several other big players in this space where I can take my crypto, I can deposit it in this lending protocol, which now manages to find borrowers, and that borrower will pay an interest rate for that loan. And of course, the intermediary will take a little piece of the action, but not 6 or 7% like your bank. So let's say I deposit on Aave, I deposit my Ethereum, and I deposit and I earn 3%. Someone wants to borrow that Ethereum and pay 5%, great. I'm now making 3% interest on that loan. I'm lending it out to them. So this is something that's, kind of developing now on these lending protocols. Why would I want to put my cash in a bank? And we can go to stable coins like USDC or USDT and keep our money in a stable coin, which is pegged to $1. And I can now lend that out at maybe 3, 4, 5%. There's loan sites starting to be built on Ethereum now where people can ask for loans for X, Y, and Z. You can go through their loan process like a typical lender and say, all right, let me see your financials. Are you okay? Are you clean? Are you safe? Are you, is it worthy? And then you lend directly to them and cut out the intermediary. So this is stuff that has not been hashed out yet, but it's going down that route. It's starting to become a bit more developed and more projects on different blockchains. It's not there yet. We are a long ways away from having full adoption and all these things built out. But if in that upgrade to the financial system, it's going to take time. It took 138 years for the car companies to get from where we were in 1886, right, with the first Carl Benz, to where we have today with the Tesla. 138 years. It's a long time. Yeah, 138 years. That's a long time of innovation, and we're still not perfected. So at some point, the crypto will be a little bit more utilized and more accepted. But, I do believe that Bill Addis is correct. It's a large part of it is pump and dump. It's packed by hopes and dreams and people believing that it's going to move up. Now, the crypto program that I built is specifically saying, let's do research on these projects. I don't want something that's a hope pipe dream. I want something that's actually doing something. It's being utilized. It has communities. It has developers. It has good tokenomics and all of these variables. So out of the 2.4 million, again, 99% of them are absolute garbage scams. That 1%, even within that, some of those will probably not make it the next 5 or 10 years. That said, there might be 100 or so that really do take off, and those are the ones I'm hoping to hold in my portfolio. Let's see what I got here. Can someone use an 8-track for a digital wallet? Would you recommend an old Ted Nugent Aerosmith 8-track? An 8-track with Ted Nugent and Aerosmith 8-tracks is probably worth some money today, collector-wise. Eric says, Merlin, do you think that a certain centralized exchange lists meme coins, even though they're scams to attract more people to their platform? 100%, Eric. So when you look at a coin like Pepe coin or Shiba Inu, which in my opinion are scam coins, Pepe for sure, Shiba Inu that's debatable, but I'd say it's a scam. They're listed on U.S. exchanges, and they shouldn't be. I believe regulators should say get rid of anything that doesn't have a purpose. If you have no developer team, if you've got nothing backing you and you have no purpose, you have literally no purpose, then you're not allowed to be traded. Coinbase, Kraken, Binance, and Gemini will list coins to bring in customers. So right now, I don't know if Coinbase does Pepe. Let me just check here real quick and see. Because we all know Pepe is the biggest scam out there. Total pump and dump. But here's Pepe. It's the 23rd largest crypto in the world. And they say openly, we are nothing. We don't do anything. We're useless. Love it. And I'll go to markets. You click on that, and you can see here, it is on Binance. They do have Pepe on Kraken. Coinbase does not have it. But Binance, Uniswap, but no Coinbase. Coinbase is probably playing the high road here and not doing it just because they don't want to get in trouble having this scam coin on their book. So yes, Eric, I do believe 100% these exchanges will list a cryptocurrency, even if it's just a total scam meme coin, because it's popular and people will want to find an exchange to trade those on. So I don't trade any of them. I don't do it. Let's see, what else I got? Margaret, if college students found a practical method to use cryptocurrencies as a medium of exchange, and this would be a good catalyst for crypto and be adopted for the rest of us. Yeah, and I think you're starting to see that. Obviously, we have El Salvador accepting Bitcoin as legal tender. Argentina may be the next big one to accept it as legal tender. But then the question is it fast enough? Right? Bitcoin only does 7 transactions per second, whereas something like Solana would be a much more logical choice for a global payment network. It's much faster. It's extremely cheap. It's not as stable. But you're right. I think kids... Does Dogecoin have a purpose? No. Dogecoin is a copy of Bitcoin. You could argue it's a payment network, but you don't see a lot of people accepting Doge. I think Tesla did at one point. So did the Dallas Mavericks accepted at one point. I think they've both pulled back on that. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think that those are both... I think Dogecoin is probably the biggest. It's just a meme coin. It was started as a joke, and now they have some developers that they're actually working on creating a community around Dogecoin. And I'll be honest, if Elon Musk can get in there and do what Elon Musk does and utilize Dogecoin's network, then Dogecoin does have some upside potential. Otherwise, to me, it's just a meme coin that I wouldn't touch. So here's Dogecoin, right? I mean, we've fallen from 22 cents to 12 cents in the last couple weeks. And, it's flat line going to zero. You see back here? Back in July of 2019, and this thing is garbage. It was nothing. And then all of a sudden it got pumped and just started to really take off. Kind of crazy to me that Dogecoin is as popular as it is. But I don't think you'll ever see it up at this 75 cent mark. It's going to probably continue to slide down lower and lower and lower. Technician JD says, so how do you find out which ones aren't scams? That's a great question. And I can't tell you with 100% certainty that the portfolio of cryptos that I hold are not scams either. There's a whole checklist of things I go through. So part of the crypto program that I've created is, yes, you have self-paced content, but it's also application. So we'll go in and say, like, for example, Eric wants to know about Caspa. All right. So if we look at Caspa, I got to ask myself, well, what do they do? What is Caspa, right? First thing you want to do is read their white paper. And you can find their white paper at any... You can just type in Caspa white paper and it'll pop up. But a white paper is like their business plan. What are they going to do? How are they going to do it? What's their team? And I read through it. Does this sound like a good project? Is it something that's unique? Or is everybody else doing it? What Caspa is doing is trying to create a high-speed layer 1 platform to build on top of, build all these ecosystems. Well, you know who's already in that space? Ethereum, Avalanche, Cardano, Solana, Algorand, Sui, Aptos. I mean, there's dozens of competitors. So, and they're already scalable. The thing with Caspa is they say, oh, well, we're really fast. We're really, 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 really fast. Well, from the numbers I've seen, 3,000 transactions per second is their peak right now. Well, if Solana is 65,000, why am I interested in Caspa? Oh, but we do things in parallel. We can do multi-chain. We can do 8 parallel transactions at once. but you can only do 3,000 transactions. So you're not upping the game for me. Then they talk about like Caspa, for example. Caspa does not have smart contracts on their blockchain yet. How can I build anything on top of Caspa without smart contracts? So for example, if Solana did not have smart contracts, you wouldn't be able to build applications on top of it. So Caspa has this visions of grandeur, telling everybody how great they're going to be and how they're going to dominate the world, but there's nobody using it right now. They do not have smart contracts, so you can't even build on top of it. They've got really odd tokenomics, and they're competing in a space that already has dozens of other competitors that have a huge head start. So, Eric, from that perspective right there, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being this is a steaming pile of dog do, and 10 being this is the greatest thing ever, Caspa's a 3. I mean, I'm not interested at all. You know, not at all. It doesn't look legit. Not that it's not legit, but it just doesn't. It's not going to do well in its environment that it's presently in. So to continue on with JD's question, how do you find out which ones aren't scams? It's research. It's digging. It's doing your due diligence and really kind of peeling back the layer of the onion, because a lot of these projects will try to put so much information out online to make you believe something. On the deeper you dig and keep digging, you might find that it's a house of cards. And a lot of these projects are a house of cards. Not saying Caspa is. It's an interesting idea, but it's already been done. You know, you look at parallel processing, already been done. Sui and Aptos are already doing it, and they're led by Sui and Aptos were both cryptocurrencies that were created by the people who left Facebook. So Facebook was Libra, and then it was supposed to be Diem, and those guys left and both started their own cryptocurrency blockchains, which is Sui and Aptos. Both of those chains do over 100,000 transactions per second. And here's Caspa going, yay, we're the fastest. We can do 3,000. Well, but that's 100,000 over there. You do 3. Cool. That's like a Honda Accord rolling out to the Formula One racetrack and going, all right, bro, I'm ready to race. I can do like 85 miles an hour when I'm floored in 5th gear on my 4-cylinder. Woo! Car goes by doing 200 miles an hour. You don't stand a chance. Don't stand a chance. If you want to gamble, Eric, go for Caspa. But I don't think it's got legs to stand on right now. Good questions. Keep them coming. Cat Scratch Crypto would be a good choice. It's probably there. Skilled, there's so many cryptos out there, it's probably already there. So let me go to Mark's questions. Mark had a whole bunch. So let me explain this, or try to explain it. Could you please explain how tokenomics works for cryptocurrency? For instance, according to CoinMarketCap, I see Bitcoin has a total supply of 19.7 million Bitcoin and a circulating supply of 19.7 million, with a max of 21 million. Ethereum's total supply and circulating supply are the same as well, but there's nothing for max supply on Ethereum. Correct. So when you look at tokenomics, for those who may not have ever heard this term before, it really represents how the coins are created, right? Are they created out of thin air? Are they mined and created over time? And how are they distributed? Who owns what? So for example, if we look at, I may have a chart here. Let me see. It's going to take me a second to bring this one up, guys. I don't know if I can technically do this because this is Online Trading Academy's property, but I did create it for them, so I guess I could show it. Let me see here real quick. I got to remember where I put this one. It's really the emission curve of Bitcoin and how it's created. So I'll dance here for a second and see if I can find this one. I'm not sure if I can. But Bitcoin has a very simple emission curve, right? They were created over time, and it's this nice smooth line. Okay, so here we go. And I'll put that right. Okay, so just so we can see this curve, here is the Bitcoin emission curve for you all. Perfect. To your point here, Mark, you have 21 million at the top. There's your 21 million. And you have the timeline that moves in 4-year chunks. This is that 4-year cycle we've talked about many times on this program, and kind of me having the basis for my hypothesis about Bitcoin hitting 250 next year. What it is Bitcoin is mined. It's actually created from these miners. Every block that's created, the miners are rewarded. So a block is simply 10 minutes worth of time. Think of it like a 10-minute window of time is a block. In that 10-minute window of time, Bitcoin takes all the transactions, puts them together, records them, and then moves on down the line and does it next, roughly every 10 minutes. The miners from 2009 to 2013 were rewarded 50 Bitcoin for that. Every time they solved a block. okay? If you look at this, you see it's chunks of 2010, 210,000. Every 210,000 blocks, the reward for Bitcoin gets cut in half. It drops, and it keeps dropping because they're slowly emitting cryptocurrency out there. We just finished this cycle right here, 6.25, and we are now right here. We just started this 3.125 period where the miners earn 3.125 Bitcoin created every 10 minutes. So in essence, what you're looking here is Bitcoin is being created, and we can see exactly how much will be created per day, right? So you want to know, you just get your calculator. Where'd my calculator go? I have no idea. I hit the button, it disappeared. There you go. So I have 3.125 Bitcoin created every 10 minutes. There are 6 of those per hour. And there's 24 hours in a day. So there's 450 Bitcoin created every day from now until 2028. And in 2028, it'll turn into 225. So Bitcoin will ultimately mint the last Bitcoin in the year 2140. Okay? That's mining and how it's created. That's an emission curve with a predictable schedule. Some cryptocurrencies like Dogecoin came out and said, we're going to create 100 billion coins. And they snapped the fingers, they created 100 billion. But they've already used all of it, so now they're creating another 5 billion per year. So that's inflationary, right? Creating 5 billion per year. Other ones like Ethereum have no max. So Ethereum, I believe right now it's, yeah, dump Siri, Michael. I believe that Ethereum is 2 Ethereum created every 15 seconds, and that will happen. There is no end. It will go on for infinity until they change the code and change the rules of it, which they can do. The community could approve that. So there's other factors to it, but that's essentially the gist of your emissions that you asked about, right? How are they created, Mark? That's it. And every project's going to be different. They're called pre-mined. So when a project says we're going to create all this at once, that's called a pre-mine. And that's nice because the buyers know exactly how many are going to be created. But in the case of Dogecoin, they can say, oh, we're going to make a lot more. We're going to keep adding to it, adding to it, adding to it. ETH used to have a max supply of 90 million coins, and now it's infinite. Correct. Yep. Nice change. And technically, well, I'm going to add a little wrinkle here. There's a thing called a burn wallet. So what a lot of projects do, Binance does this and Ethereum does this, is a portion of the transactions that happen. So in that Ethereum network, there's thousands and thousands of transactions happening, every minute. Those transaction fees, a portion of those gets burned and says it's going to go to a digital wallet address that no one has the private keys to, and it disappears. You can't access it. So they're trying to remove from supply an amount of Ethereum. Same thing with Binance, BNB coins, which is why BNB has been taking off lately. Binance had 20 or 200 million coins, and now their goal is to get it down to 100. So they're literally going to get rid of 50% of supply. That's going to be a great motivator for price to the upside, which is why I'm long on Binance as well, or one of the reasons. Who's going to replace Bitcoin as the most popular cryptocurrency? It's a really tough question. So, Margaret, one of the things that I struggle with is the term cryptocurrency, because it seems a bit misleading, does it not? If I say cryptocurrency, it sounds like it's a currency, which, as Bill Addis points out, it really is not. I can't go to the store and buy stuff with Bitcoin yet. Now, maybe a couple years down the road we will. Bitcoin's sole purpose is a currency. It doesn't do other things. It is simply a payment network. Now, if you ask for, which one's going to be bigger than Bitcoin, there's a lot of possibilities out there, but they're not cryptocurrencies. They're digital assets. Let's say Ethereum, for example. We can go look at the chart here so you can see, it was pretty close, and now I think Bitcoin pulled away. But here is your list of cryptocurrencies. Right now you have Bitcoin is a $1.18 trillion market cap, and Ethereum is only 400 billion, all right? Could it be Solana? Sure. Could it be Ripple? I don't think so, but sure. Anything is possible. So what's it going to take to be bigger than Bitcoin? Adoption and utilization, right? So Bitcoin is this, again, just a cryptocurrency. It's a payment network. That's it. With Ethereum, I can build all of these exciting financial products and services that I've been talking about on top of Ethereum. If you guys want to start a decentralized lending platform, get a programmer, develop it, plug it into Ethereum, and now you can run your business there. If you want to create an identity token, right? Maybe you're going to try to pitch to the US government a digital identity token. Write it on smart contracts, put it on Ethereum, plug in. So Ethereum becomes much more useful in that sense. It's not just a payment network. It's like an electrical grid that people can plug in all these different business ideas, and there's new types of businesses being created every day on these blockchains. So I think once that happens, then you'll start to see, I think the two contenders in my mind at this point would be Solana and Ethereum, would be the two that I see building momentum headed that way towards, okay, we're going to be bigger than Bitcoin. And maybe we see it flip at some point, but that's a long ways away. I mean, Bitcoin's 3 times bigger than Ethereum, and Solana is way down that list. Yep, adoption is going to be key. And this will be a big talking point during our presidential elections. I mean, you're going to hear it more and more and more, talking about centralized currencies, fiat currencies, and then digital currencies, and central bank digital currencies, right? It will be a much bigger topic as that natural course of innovation and technology upgrades our financial system. I think you would all agree that upgrading the financial system to a more digital world is inevitable, right? I think you'd all go, yeah, that's, if we look at the cars, it's become much more technological, and here we are now at the Tesla self-driving cars. Does it fly in another 4 or 5 years? Probably. We talk about music and its evolution and how it's progressed from couldn't even listen to it at home, and now we can listen to it anywhere, anytime, any place. It's just streaming. I don't even have to buy anything. I can want to listen to it on this, great. I can listen to it on my phone. I can send it to my headphones. I can send it to your car. Crazy. Show the charts of Sol and ETH. Sure. So let's go back to here, and we'll show you Solana. And these are, by the way, I mean, I'm self-interested here because Solana is my third largest holding and Ethereum is my second. So Solana really, from this rally back here in 2023 has been phenomenal. This was one that in the class that I taught for OT, I did it's called the CIL, but it's no longer there. The CIL at $13.90, I was like in my class live saying, okay, I'm buying a bunch of Solana, and I was rewarded for that. I already had a position, but Solana, obviously in a pretty significant pullback now, as is most of crypto. Solana looking pretty weak right now, but that's the chart of Solana. And let me go monthly, or actually, how about I do weekly so we can see the bigger picture. So there's Solana all time. I think that's when it started. And then we'll look at ETH. Okay, here's your Ethereum. Ethereum's been around much longer, right? It really is actually older than this. It started in 2014. So Ethereum's had a pretty good run, although it's not back to its all-time highs from November of 2021. November 8th, Ethereum was at a high price of $4,864, and we just broke 4,000 a couple weeks ago, but a couple months ago, but haven't been back there since. So those are the two right now, and we'll see. We'll see if they get there. I don't know. The interesting thing about crypto is it's always changing. I mean, when I build new material for different companies, which I've been doing, I have to rewrite everything because it's all changed. There's new leaders, there's new technologies, there's all kinds of different consensus algorithms. Now there's directed acyclic graph, or DAGs, which is what Caspa is using for they're using a proof of work hash graph, which is a hybrid between multiple technologies. And will that one be the one that's the best? I don't know. Yeah, Margaret says both those charts look good. They do if you have ulcer medications, because, I mean, these gyrations are monstrous. I mean, look at this move in Ethereum right here. I am so lucky. I'm so lucky that I sold out of my Ethereum when I did. Ethereum dropped 82%. 82%. And the thing that sucks is I sold out of all of my Ethereum. I think it was I can't remember. I think it was back in here. I sold out when it was getting like 4,400. And I sold 100% of my Ethereum, and I bought back when we got down to 2,500. So I thought I was doing amazing. It went all the way down to 800. Oh well. At least I got out at the high and bought back at a lower price. But boy, I wish I would have bought back at 880. That would have been a much better buy. Well, it says, will DEX's distributed exchange change the trading game? So this is something that's very interesting to me. This is where it changes from just a cryptocurrency discussion. When we talk about the evolution of the financial system and upgrading our financial system, it's not just the banks. It's not just insurance. It's not just, life insurance or any of these annuities. That type of stuff will upgrade. But there's so much more to it. And if you look at where you trade your stocks, you're trading through your Schwabs, your E-Trades, your Ameritrade, whatever. Those are all consolidated now, but maybe Merrill Lynch, whatever. All their systems are going to upgrade as well. And that will make things faster, more efficient on a centralized playing field. Decentralized wise, we will have these exchanges will allow us to trade options, futures, forex, commodities, real estate. They'll open up the doorway to trade just about anything. In my mind, it's going to be kind of where do we draw that line between I'm actually trading a securitized instrument and I'm just flat out gambling, right? I will bet you that there will be DEXs, decentralized exchanges, where you can bet on literally everything. Oh, what's the temperature going to be in Kinshasa, Zaire on March 15th of next year? I'll take that bet. There'll be everything and all be done in smart contracts. Cool. But for you who know how to trade, who know stocks, who know options, no forex, no futures, I think you're going to get a choice of, do I want to use a centralized exchange or do I want to use a decentralized exchange? And you may ask, what's the difference? Well, you'll probably have more security and safety on a centralized exchange for now, but a decentralized exchange allows you to trade a vastly larger selection of instruments, most likely get more leverage, which is a double-edged sword. We all know that. And I think it will change the trading game. Not necessarily change it, but offer more choice and allow things to broaden. And I think it'll bring more people into the financial markets, which ultimately will drive price up. Let's see. What did JD say? Where'd you go, JD? Kind of confusing. Say I get one Bitcoin at $6,000 and I stash it in my wallet, flash drive, and take it out of circulation, come back a year later, and it may be worth $60K or not. Yeah. And as VB says, that's the same with gold, the same with NVIDIA, right? The difference here is, it's a good point. Let's use those examples. If I buy NVIDIA shares today and I say, I'm not going to touch it for a year, 365 days, boom, that's my chunk of time. You have the same output, right, Robert? Or not Robert, it wasn't Robert. Technician? You have the same output. You don't know where NVIDIA is going to be in 365 days. The difference is, though, your NVIDIA shares are sitting in a warehouse somewhere and are part of the circulating pool. It's at the DTCC, but because you're trading, let's say, through E-Trade, in theory, your NVIDIA shares sit there and now are part of their trading pool. So it's part of the machine. Now, if I go to my Bitcoin and I buy one Bitcoin on Coinbase, I take it off of that exchange and put it on my cold storage, right? I put it on my little nano ledger. And I say 365 days. The same basic thing happens to the underlier. Bitcoin in 365 days may have gone up or down. I don't know. But what I do know is now, because it's on this device, it's no longer part of circulating supply. It's not part of their liquidity pools anymore. So you can actually impact the markets by removing your cryptocurrency from exchanges, which is why not that I'm a big player, but why I put most of my stuff on either paper wallets or hardware wallets that remove it from the exchanges. So in principle, they're the same thing, holding NVIDIA versus holding Bitcoin. But if you hold your Bitcoin on a cold storage device, you now remove it from the circulating supply. But it's currency, not shares and inflation and all. But a dollar still is a dollar. Well, 24-hour trading, correct, Margaret? That's another big point there. Well, I knew the show was going to go an hour. Damn it. Margaret said 24-hour trading. When you talk about centralized exchanges, you don't get 24-hour trading. The only true marketplace in the world that's 24 hours a day, 365 days a year is crypto. It's not options. It's not futures. Futures have to roll over and they do an adjustment. They have to close for this time. It's not 24 hours, even though they say they're 24 hours. Even Forex has a reset period. Not with crypto. Now, could there be decentralized exchanges that offer options traders or options trading 24 hours a day, 365? Yeah, it'll all be done with smart contracts. So why not? So yes, that would open the door to something different and innovate the markets a little bit. And honestly, what I think will happen, that's a great question, Margaret. I think it will pressure current markets to modify their business. Because you're going to get a customer like me who, let's say I want to be more active trading options, right? I'm looking at my Tom Barr zero data expirations. I'm using my rubber ducky Tim Blotzer strategy or whatever Larry's strategy is, and I'm doing shorter term zero data expiration. Why can't I do that at 3 o'clock in the morning? I can't do it now because the system doesn't allow me to. Centralized exchanges don't allow trading at that time. But I can go onto a decentralized exchange who doesn't operate off the same rules and say, 3 in the morning, go for it. Now, I know there'll be less liquidity at 3 in the morning, but it still says I can do it. I have that choice. And I think that that's going to change the financial markets because centralized marketplaces will look at that and go, we're actually losing customers to those guys on DeFi? Let's incorporate that into our trading world. But if you peg Bitcoin to the USD, most likely USD gets devalued over that time. That's correct too. Most likely, it will over time become more devalued, right? The dollar, we've seen, maybe in the short term it looks like it's going up, but long term, since 1913 when the Fed was created, it's been nothing but down. We've lost like 97% of the purchasing power of the US dollar, and that's probably not going to change until they default on it. Crypto needs a big player like Buffett. They do. I mean, they got a big player. Look at, I'm totally drawing a blank. MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor. He's out there pounding the table. If Musk comes out and does anything positive to cryptocurrency, this whole industry is going to go nuts again. And I think what will happen is, I think X is going to become a financial hub. They're going to you'll be able to do you'll create a bank account through X. You'll be able to do trading through X. That's what we talked about potentially having Robinhood purchased by Twitter at the time, right? That was a logical acquisition there. Elon Musk has enough brain power, connections to pull it off. I think he's one of the only guys I think that could actually pull this off. And then X becomes this major financial portal as well. They'll probably have their own digital currency. Look at PayPal. PayPal has their own stable coin now that you can use on their network. JP Morgan has their own stable coin you can use on their network as well. So we're seeing it be adopted. And by the way, just so everybody here knows, when you have Jamie Dimon attacking Bitcoin and calling it a fraud, calling it a scam, it's because it represents a threat to JP Morgan. JP Morgan already has their own cryptocurrency. They have their own network of financial products, and they're trying to get other banks to connect to that blockchain, the JP Morgan blockchain. And essentially, it's a ripoff of Ethereum, but they have their own network at JP Morgan, and now Fidelity's plugging into it, and other financial firms will probably plug into it. And what you're going to see is what's called a federated or consortium blockchain, where only banks can access that blockchain. It will make the banking system much better, much safer, much more stable, and your transactions should be much faster. Now, I was going to say they should be cheaper, but remember, it's controlled by the banks. They will keep that cost high enough where they make some good money off it. If X does that, it'll be NVIDIA, woohoo, just saying, we'll see. NVIDIA is rocking because their chip is potentially going to revolutionize the entire world, right? That chip that no one else has, the Rockwell thing, if you saw the release conference, that was pretty amazing. But I think if X does that, if X becomes a financial portal, there'll be a lot of people like me that I'll move my accounts over there. I'll move my account to, not all of them. I'm going to see how it goes first, but I'd rather support Elon Musk than I would Jamie Dimon any day of the week. I'd rather support Elon Musk than any bank, right? Innovate. Yeah, he's got to make some money in the process, got to keep shareholders happy, but I think he's an innovator, and I'd rather be backing him. All right, let me go to Mark's. I know we're almost out of time here. Let's see. One example like this would be something like Compound, which has a total of 10 million tokens, but the circulating supply of 8.3. Yep. One more example would be Ondo, which has a total supply of 10 billion coins and only circulating supply. Why is there a huge gap? Okay, so when we look at different projects, and I will show you one here. Let's go to, what's a good example? Ripple is the best example, right? Ripple, which is, where's Ripple? Ripple's still way up there? Gosh, I can't believe it's still number 7. So if we click on Ripple, Ripple said, initially right here, I'm going to highlight it in blue, that they're going to create 100 billion coins, right? That's how much Ripple there is, 100 billion. But you notice the big difference here. Max supply, 100 billion. Total supply is 99.987 billion. And circulating supply is 55.6 billion. The reason for that is tokenomics. So when you create a project, let's say I create the Merlin coin, and I try to raise money. So what I do is I take a small slice. Let's say I create 100 billion Merlin coins. And I take, let's say 10%. So I take 10 billion of those, and I'll create a crowd sale to generate money for my project. And I'll just release a small little bit, 10%, so 10 billion. And this is what the people can buy. And then 30% is going to go to institutional investors who have backed me. So that's 30%. 50% I'll keep for myself. So there's 90%. And then I'll keep 10% for developers to incentivize people to come in. So as we go public, if you will, and now I'm actively trading Merlin coin, I'm on exchanges, that 10% is all that's really available to the population until I start selling some of my 50% or my investors start selling their 30%. So slowly over time, you will see more of the crypto come to markets. One of the big red flags for me right now with Ripple is there's 45 billion Ripples sitting at Ripple Labs. So Ripple Labs is the holding company that created Ripple. So they have 45 billion Ripple right now. I mean, that means they've got roughly $20 billion in cash just sitting there. And if they decide to unload that at any moment in time, that's a huge negative piece for me. That could really crush these markets and push price down significantly, right? So that's the tokenomics of how it's distributed. And again, I spent a lot of time going over tokenomics to understand, okay, here's where all the numbers are. Some, like Bitcoin, the circulating supply is everything that's available because it's emitted. It's just created on that emission curve. Things like Ethereum or Doge or anything with a proof of stake, they can just kind of create however many they want. Ethereum operates off kind of an emission curve. It's a linear one, but all these projects will be different, so you have to check out here. Mark says, long-winded questions, but anyhow, there you go. I hope, Mark, that you're watching. Hope you got some of that one. I want to say, congrats on the 1 hour program. Yeah. Well, I do need to go because I got to take my pup to the vet again. His rash is just doesn't stop. My poor Bubba. And it's like 80-something degrees here today, so he's very not happy with that one. All right. Is the Eurozone more advanced than the U.S. in regards to cryptocurrency adoption? I can't answer that, Margaret. I don't know. Unless I'm over there and really have my boots on the ground, I don't know. I haven't really been following European regulation. I've been really just following projects. But it's a great question. I will dig and see if I can answer that one. Okay. Well, Lisa, it's not just that I have passion for crypto. The main reason I'm really focusing on crypto is I screwed up in the dot-com bubble. I knew the internet was amazing. I loved it. I was using it all the time. My mom was like head over heels, could not believe how cool this was because she was family in Germany, so she was always on AOL Instant Messenger, sending messages back and forth and calling her family in Europe for no cost. It was awesome, right? Compared to making long-distance phone calls through your phone company, it was ridiculous. So my mom loved that, and she saw how cool this was, and I was just resistant. That was 1990, 4. And man, if I just bought AOL back then when my mom was raving about it, I'm just such an idiot. Anyway, back in 1998, I was a high-speed day trader. I was more concerned with making trades that lasted 2 minutes and 5 minutes or an hour or so than saying, hey, this could change the world. And I look at this right now as it's full of fraud, it's full of scams, but there are some legitimate companies in here that are looking to change the world. And I think that they're pushing to get there. And I hope I'm right. I'm optimistic that I'm right. I hate the word hope, but I'm optimistic I'm right. And if I'm wrong, I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket. Obviously, I've got my many other trading accounts, but I have some nice sized crypto accounts as well. If that ended up collapsing, I'd feel pretty embarrassed and shocked it was fooled me like that, but I don't think we're there. I think we're going to see more adoption here, particularly in the digital asset space, particularly when you have someone like Larry Fink who says, we're all in on digital assets. Tokenization is coming, and that's going to reside on the blockchain. Let's see. Yeah, so I don't want to make the same mistake. I built a portfolio of cryptos that I think have long-term prospects, and I'm not going to miss this time. I mean, if I would have done what I said I would have done back in the late 90s, I would have bought Amazon and I would have held it. And it would be, millions of a % gain from that price that I was looking at it back in 98. Anyway, that's going to do it for me, everybody. I know we didn't talk much about the markets today, but I'm already an hour and I got to get to the vet here. I will real quickly run through our top 7 just so we can get that out of the way. Rough day for crypto, but I'm not sweating it. I kind of expected there to be some more downside, just not to this abrupt. You can see I've got a line drawn here, July 15th. I don't know if that necessarily is going to be the bottom of this one, but that was kind of in my bigger picture here where I think July, August, September, and that kind of 3-month window is where I think we'll bottom out and start to move back to the upside for Bitcoin. So down 7.96%. Wowzers. Pretty ugly week for it. Actually, 1 month has been pretty ugly, but here's your daily. Just a gigantic red candle. Again, the big demand zone here is going to be 50,000. I think we could realistically get there. One that was very interesting today was this one. I had some day trades, 2 day trades on the NASDAQ 100s on a breakdown below that 19,904. It was a great one. It whisked me out on one and I kept the second half, which paid off for it. But we did have that breakdown below this level. We still have this unfilled window here on the NASDAQ futures. So I would keep your eye on this one because you have all the way down to 19,496. So from current levels, you're looking at another couple hundred points, 200, almost 260 points, potential downside move here for the NASDAQ before it closes that gap. And I think that's a very likely target here for the NASDAQ. Dollar index on the day, nice little red candle there. It actually broke out of its high on Friday's session and gave back just a little bit here today. S&P, you had a little tiny red candle, although it's doing better than the NASDAQ. It didn't have that NVIDIA pull. NVIDIA is the main reason why you saw these markets tank today. Your 10-year, we're stabilizing. Big Eb, and we're both sweating bullets over here for our end-of-year settlement on this one, but really no change today in the 10-year. The Russell actually holding okay compared to what the NASDAQ had done. Russell was up 0.46%. You had gold up 0.57%, and then crude oil ripping and right back to the top of that zone. I had that yellow box drawn in from what we saw on June 20th. We ripped above that one today. A close above that, which is what we have, tells me we're probably headed up to this 83 mark. Now, 83.81 is the next area of supply for crude oil on my charts, my analysis. Hello, Elaine. Good to see you. Yep. And I think that covers it. There were actually a bunch more questions, but it just didn't have time to get to them all. So my apologies for those of you who don't like cryptocurrency and digital assets. I'm hoping that I maybe calm some fears and apprehension about it. But today was predominantly who, what, where, why, and when, and then a little bit about tokenomics. Walkthrough for Eric, who wanted to know about Caspa. You got to look at every project from an objective standpoint. If you give me any project name and say, what do you think about X, Y, and Z, I'm going to do the same type of approach. I have a whole checklist of things I look for, and I fill out these documents for everyone so I can remove my emotion or the hype or whatever somebody may have told me about it and just do facts and look at the facts, look at the numbers. And if the project makes sense, maybe put a little bit of money in it. If it doesn't make sense, move on, beat it. There's plenty of other things to trade. All right, that's going to do it for me. Let's see. News-wise, I have Jerry Baldwin's going to be on Thursday, and then I think we're going to have some more guests coming on in the next couple weeks. So I've got more guests for you guys. Actually, let me make sure. Dang it, Liz. I got to go back and remember which one that was. She said, oh, you know what? Yeah, it was a company that was down like 95% in a day. And I can't remember that off the top of my head. Let me bring that one back up. I was running through some scanners, Liz, and something was down 90%. It was like $2,500, and then it fell all the way to like $2 in 3 days. One of the craziest charts I've ever seen. Anyway, email me at TraderMerlin@gmail.com if you guys have any questions, comments, things you want me to cover. I think Jeff Manson, that's who we've got. Jeff Manson's going to be on Wednesday's show. So I got Jeff Manson on Wednesday, Jerry Baldwin on Thursday, and I'm probably going to have Brandon Wendell and David Warner on here in the near future because you guys have been asking to have guests, which of course will be great. All right, that's it. I'll try to find it, Liz. It was a tricky one. But anyway, thank you guys so much. Have a fantastic remainder of your day. You got an hour and 10-minute show today. So have a wonderful Monday. I will see you guys tomorrow with no scheduled guests. If you got something you want me to talk about, email me or put it down below any of the YouTube videos. Talk to you later. Take care.